Anger is the fastest emotion to ignite, yet the slowest to truly fade. It is like a small spark falling onto dry grass. Within seconds, everything can burn. Often, we don't even realize the exact moment it begins to take control of us. It may start from a hurtful word, an unmet expectation, or exhaustion that has quietly built up over time. In that moment, our thinking narrows, our perspective shrinks. The world suddenly feels divided into right and wrong, and we are absolutely certain we are right. When anger takes over, logic slowly steps aside. We no longer think to understand, we think to attack. Our tone rises, our words sharpen, and decisions are made not for long-term good, but to release a surge of emotion. Strangely, in those seconds, anger feels like power. We feel braver, stronger, more dominant. Yet what is truly happening is the loss of control. And when the fire begins to cool, when silence returns, awareness slowly follows. We remember what we said. We imagine the expression on the other person's face. That is when discomfort appears, the realization that perhaps we went too far. Anger gives us a momentary explosion, but leaves behind the embers of regret that last much longer. Benjamin Franklin once said, "Whatever is begun in anger ends in shame." The sentence is simple, yet profoundly deep. It describes a pattern repeated throughout human history. When something begins with uncontrolled emotion, it rarely ends well. Think back to moments when you replied harshly to a message or made a decision while emotional. At the time, it felt like you were defending your dignity. It felt like you could not allow yourself to be disrespected. But time is always an honest judge. When emotions settle, we often realize that our reaction was greater than the problem itself. The shame Franklin refers to is not merely embarrassment in front of others. It is the quiet shame within ourselves, the awareness that we were capable of responding with greater wisdom, that we had another option, to pause, to ask calmly, to delay our response until clarity returned. His words are not just a warning, they are an invitation to be mindful of how we begin our actions. Anger often makes us feel powerful. When we raise our voice, when we display our frustration, there is a sensation of dominance. It feels like courage, but that kind of power is fragile. It depends on how others react. If they fear us, we feel victorious. If they resist, conflict only grows. True strength reveals itself in calmness. It is not loud or explosive. It is steady and grounded. A person who can restrain anger is not weak, but deeply self-controlled. They understand that impulsive reactions are rarely solutions. They choose to think before speaking, to understand before judging. Holding back anger does not mean suppressing emotion. It means processing it wisely, transforming heated energy into clear reflection, turning the urge to attack into an opportunity to communicate. In a world that reacts instantly, the calm individual possesses the greatest advantage because they act from awareness, not emotion.
Every act of anger carries consequences. Words once spoken cannot be taken back. Even if we apologize, the imprint remains. People may forgive, but they remember how they felt in that moment. Relationships built over years can fracture in a single uncontrolled outburst. Many major conflicts in life begin with something small that was amplified by anger. A simple misunderstanding grows into prolonged argument. Ego confronts ego, and neither side wants to yield. In the end, the original issue is forgotten. What remains is the wound created during the fight. When we ask ourselves, "Why couldn't I stay calm?" we are acknowledging that the choice was always there. We could have paused, we could have chosen gentler words, but in the heat of the moment, we allowed emotion to rule, and the consequences often outweigh the temporary satisfaction anger provides. The shame that follows anger is delayed awareness. It appears when we recognize that our behavior did not reflect our values. We want to be known as wise and composed, yet in certain moments we act otherwise. This contradiction gives birth to regret. Yet shame also has a positive side. It reminds us that we hold moral standards. It proves that our conscience is alive. If we reflect honestly, shame can become a teacher. It shows us that every reaction is a choice, and every choice carries impact. Rather than rejecting shame, we can learn from it. We can use it to grow. We can understand that delaying our reaction by just a few seconds can save relationships, opportunities, and dignity. Silence is not defeat. Admitting mistakes is maturity. In this way, shame is not the end, it is the beginning of growth. Life constantly gives us reasons to feel angry. Injustice exists. People disappoint us. Expectations are not always met. These realities cannot be avoided. But one thing always remains within our control: our response. We may not control what others do, but we can control how we react. This is where true maturity lies. A mature person is not someone who never feels anger, but someone who can manage it. They understand that maintaining composure is a long-term investment. Ultimately, the quality of our life is not determined by how many problems we face, but how wisely we respond to them. If we begin with calmness, we end with dignity. If we begin with patience, we move toward wisdom. So before anger takes control, pause. Take a slow breath. Feel your heartbeat rising. Acknowledge that emotion is present, but it does not have to be your master. In that brief pause, there is space to choose, space to think, space to become a better version of yourself. Mastering the world does not begin outwardly, it begins within. The world may be harsh, but a trained mind remains steady. When you can master yourself, you are not easily shaken, you are not easily provoked. And in the end, that is the truest victory, not winning arguments, not dominating conflicts, but conquering yourself. In the end, anger is not the enemy, lack of control is. Anger itself is a natural human emotion. It tells us when something feels unfair, when boundaries are crossed, when expectations are broken. But what defines us is not the presence of anger, it is how we respond to it. Every moment of anger presents a silent test. Will we react impulsively, or will we respond with awareness? Will we let emotion command us, or will we pause and reclaim control? That small space between feeling and action, that is where character is built. That is where wisdom grows. When we choose calm over reaction, we protect more than our pride. We protect our relationships, our reputation, and our inner peace. We protect the version of ourselves that we truly want to become. Because dignity is not maintained through loudness, but through restraint. Strength is not proven through aggression, but through composure. Remember, whatever begins in anger often ends in regret, but whatever begins in patience often ends in clarity, and clarity leads to better decisions, better outcomes, and a better life. So the next time anger rises within you, do not fight it, understand it. Do not suppress it, guide it. Take a breath, slow down, choose wisely. Because the greatest victory in life is not conquering others, it is conquering yourself.